Welcome back to Good Morning Sri Lanka. For those who are just joining us, today is a Thursday, 29th of the month of November, and we are in the tail end of our series of discussion regarding the foreign violence against women, which is ongoing right now, and we are in the midst of the 16 days of activism, which will end on the 10th of December when we all celebrate United Nations Human Rights Day. And we have with us Prabhu, who we've been talking about. He is the one who believes, of course, that to talk about violence against women, you need to get into the discussion, the views of the men who oftentimes are the perpetrator. And you did mention earlier that what you find more interesting was that not that the men defending their actions, but the women defending the men when it comes to the acts that has been on them, and what was the common ground that these women have been saying?
I mean, what I hear most is that it's a internal matter, and I think that it's a family matter, and these things happen in families, and it's okay because he loves me. At the end of the day, he's a father. He provides for me. He's stressed at work. And it was because he was drunk, and these are the multiple excuses that women make for themselves.
It was my fault.
It was my fault because I didn't either pick up the phone on time, I didn't cook I didn't put salt. These are things that you find very disturbing as a man, because I feel sometimes as a man I have absolute privilege. I can just do whatever I want. Come home at whatever time I want, do whatever, and I will have somebody at home who will just accept me, irrespective of what I do to her. And I think these are things that that shocks me as a man. And I think this is why we need to start talking about these things, and not only the men. You need to start working with women in them changing their attitudes. So I think this is why you can't exclude men or women or children or community from the work on prevention of violence against women, because everybody has a role to play in this, and you can't just work in isolation. Women can't work in isolation. Activists can't work in isolation. The UN, the INGOs can't. We need the state. We need the media. We need everybody who can come together, because how long can we go on?
So there really is power. There's really power in numbers. But let me ask you this: when they start speaking that way, defending the men, and the men defending their actions, do you find that there's still a hope talking to them, or do you find that you need to hit the next generation, the young boy that comes with them, the daughter that's with them, because it could be a lost cause already, or because an activist, you don't take that as a reason to stop talking to them?
I think everybody within them know. I'm not saying these women are ignorant, and I know some people don't know better otherwise. So I think we still continue to work with them. There's a lot of counseling that we can do with them. There's a lot of dialogues. It's important to come to a common ground, where we start with something that we agree on, and most times what parents agree on is children's lives, and when you start talking about how this violence at home affect the children's education, children's lives, and how the future, then fathers and mothers, husbands and wives starts listening. In Sri Lankan society, the cream of their marriage is the child. So you have to find an alternative way, and I think it's important as an activist, promoting this cause, you have to know how to get into the discussion, and when you do, it's a matter of just talking them, dialoguing through the process, and connecting, building a support network around them, so that they can be this changed man or woman, has somebody who can talk through them with this. So, and also we find the attitudes of younger generation is very different, because they're very exposed to media and different things. They're not as kind of violent, or inequitable on relationship level. Of course, I would say that you have the emotional thing, like the whole girlfriend boyfriend thing. Why didn't you pick up the phone? Who are you? Who are you talking to? That kind of thing. But you realize it's easier to work with young people, because they are not prejudiced. They are still experiencing life. They are still, and also at this level, we talk something about primary prevention. You talk about the kind of the connection between childhood trauma and you as a man. How you actually, if you witness violence as a child, how you have more chances of perpetrating violence against your partner, and the importance of child protection. So like I said, HIV and AIDS, child protection, child abuse, everything is connected. And this is why we can't hold our piece of the world and say, I just talk about HIV or LGBT rights. We have to start talking about things, and we have to include violence against women in our discussions.
Yeah, that's what I realized when I was talking earlier, that what happened to the AIDS campaigns, and it's still there, because these are all interconnected. They're like chains that are interlocked together. You mentioned earlier about the parents. I particularly believe that no baby, no child is born to hate discriminate or born with prejudices and looks of discriminating. It's sadly, it is actually, we learned that from, we learned that at home.
Yeah.
So for those watching right now, the parents, how just to state there how big their role is when it comes to like living a healthier, peaceful, a more equal life for their kids, whether they're daughter or son. How important is it?
I think,
Parents.
not only in terms of violence against women, I think at every level it's important. And, the reason that we said we are also working more with men, if a man, if we can promote good fatherhood, if he can actually spend time at home being a father, it really nurtures the child's growth, and, it boosts his confidence, and as a mother. And if there's an equitable relationship at home, if the child witnesses parents making decisions in matters that affect, the family and together, that really goes a long way for the child. And also, like, it protects the child. The child feels more comfortable to come back home to speak what happens. I mean, most of the times in abuse cases, children don't come and tell their parents because they don't think they trust them, or parents have their own thing going on. And I think it's important that parents also start listening to children. And it's important that parents, of course, if you can't work on the individual lives, there's absolutely no way you can have a good childhood for a child. So if the mother is happy, the father is happy, if there's equity in decision making, I think the child will pick up. And definitely, I think the chances of the child becoming a good citizen, a good child, a person who doesn't promote violence, is high. And I think that's kind of the society that we need to aim for.
Yes, is very well said. Now, for my final question, for those you meet who at first, when you start talking about it, completely dismiss you, said that is not happening at home, that is not happening in my community, I'm not a monster, I do not raise my hand against my wife or so and so, or to a woman, I deserve to be treated that way. What can you tell them as your final word for them?
I think easily you have to talk about, most times I bring up personal experiences. We talk about something that happens close by, so it always gets the attention. And people relate through stories, and it's important because people are ignorant, but they're not completely averse to the idea of knowing new things. And I think it's important you engage them with what interests them at that point. So you have to highlight something. I mean, in the media, you don't have to go look. I mean, you hear rape and abuse every day today, child abuse, etc. So you can always refer back to that, but also like start talking about what they can do. You might not be a perpetrator, but you are a bystander. You listen to your friends bragging about their harassment. You listen to friends talking about their inequitable attitudes towards women and their girlfriends. You can always intervene. So you can't just say, I'm a good man, I don't beat my wife, I don't hit my girlfriend, I don't hit my mother, or but you have a larger role to play in your society. We are all observers, and I think today's observer sometimes could be tomorrow's victim, and we all could be in this state. I think it's important that we engage them from that and say that everybody, irrespective of whether you're a man or woman or child, an activist or a media person or whatever, you have a role to play in eliminating violence against women.
That's nicely said. Today's bystander could be tomorrow's victim. I know a lot of parents are wondering, how do you raise a son just like Prabhu? Well, it's a complicated process, but thank you very much for talking to us, and we hope to see you next time. Very well said. Everything, all the causes are all interlocking, and you can't just be concentrating on one cause. Thank you for talking to us, and we got a lot more, of course, of Good Morning Sri Lanka when we come back. So have a great Thursday, everyone. I'll see you tomorrow.